Good morning, everyone. Ken Jr. here. I know I've touched on this subject before, but I had to revisit it again because I had an experience not too long ago where I felt that my father was going to forget who I am forever. And it was a scare. It had me feeling nervous. But let me go back almost a month ago. I picked up a cold and I was sick for about 2 weeks. And just around the time that I got sick, almost a week went by since I last saw my dad. So, this is what happens. And where he lives at, you cannot come into the facility if you're sick, which makes sense because the residents there are much older and their immune systems are much weaker. So it's important that they protect and take care of the residents as best they possibly can. And that means not letting just anyone come into the facility who are feeling sick, which I totally understand and support of. But like I said, about a month ago, I picked up a cold. And at the time of when I picked up the cold, it was about a week since I last saw my father. So about 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks had passed before I was able to see my dad. And I was feeling better and was able to go to the facility, knowing that I was 100% and knowing there was at risk of catching what I had. Well, 3 weeks went by, and when I saw my dad, I was nervous because in the back of my mind, I thought to myself, it's been a while and I don't like to go any more than a week or 2 weeks at the most not seeing him because it gets me a little concerned about whether he'll remember me or not. Well, this was the longest that I've ever been without seeing my dad, so 3 weeks. And when I finally saw him, he looked at me and said, he was looking at me with a big smile on his face, but he didn't know what to say. But he's looking at me and trying to piece it together. I've seen this before, but the difference between this time and the previous times was it took him so much longer to remember who I am. And he looked at me and said, "Who are you? And what's your name?" He started to do that. And man, I thought at that moment, I said, "Is this it? Is this the time that my dad's gonna forget completely who I am?" And that was a scare, and I didn't like it. I got angry with myself a little bit too. Like, man, how could I get sick? I started thinking that to myself. Like, how could I get sick? I never get sick, and that bothered me. And I felt a little bit powerless. Even through those 3 weeks that I couldn't see my dad, I felt powerless. You know, it was, I felt like every minute, every second, every day, it matters. And that to me there was a real scare. And again, it reminds me of just how important these visits are. Anyway, I'm sitting there in front of my dad, and he's trying to piece it together in his mind. He's looking at me. "Who are you? What is your name?" And this is like a good 15 seconds, 20 seconds has gone by that I'm experiencing this with him. And he couldn't quite piece it together, but he did. Eventually he did. And I gave him the chance to try to piece it together. And he said, "You have my name. You have my name." He goes, "You're Kenneth Keene. I'm Kenneth Keene. You're my son." And all these things start coming to him. And man, you don't understand how happy I was to see that. And at that moment, I said to myself, I'm going to do the best that I can to make sure that I don't get sick, be there when I can. Because at that moment when he started saying that, I didn't like that feeling at all. I mean, it's understandable. Nobody would like that. But that was a scare. So if anything, if you take anything from what I'm telling you now, please understand just how important these visits are. And I know at some point in time, this is going to happen. My dad's going to not know who I am, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But I don't want it to happen any sooner than it needs to happen. If I can control it, I want to control it because it's so important to me right now, and it's important that I help prolong his memory as best as I possibly can, because the relationship that we have, it's one of the few that are still left, and I don't want for him even to be left with no connection whatsoever, especially to those who he knows, who he has an emotional connection with. So I'm trying to keep it alive as long as possible, and it's very important to me. And I know it's very important to all of you, but just hear what I'm saying and know that the visits are so super important. So I feel good. I got this visit in. I got another one in. And so I got, and I'm caught up. The following visit, it was like we picked up where we left off, and it was perfect. He knew exactly who I was. There was no stuttering. It didn't take him 15, 20 seconds to start piecing things together in his mind. And right now I feel like we're back where we were prior to me getting sick. So I'm very happy and content right now. Today it's Tuesday morning, and I will probably be seeing my father sometime Thursday or Friday. See, and another thing is I'm going to be going away for a week. So I have to schedule this so that just before I leave for Florida, which is a week vacation for me and my girlfriend, I see him just prior and just before we leave. And then as soon as we get back, I have to go visit him again. So I'll tell you, even though I'll be on vacation and enjoying the beach and the sun and things like that, still in the back of my mind, I'll be thinking about my pop. Actually, what I'm thinking I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start calling the facility and where he lives, just to say hello and have him. Not that this is, maybe it won't, maybe it will, but it might just do something. But just to hear my voice and to remember my name. So I'll just call him and say, hey, what's up, Dad? How you doing? This is Kenneth Keene. I've got your name, this types of things. So I want to try to stay present in his mind as long as possible and not be lazy about trying to preserve some of that memory in his mind about who I am. And it's very important to me. So, but that was a scare that I recently had, and just know that these visits are very, very important. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.